My Move the Chains audience, you're back, and I'm back with your man and your host, Sam McIntyre. We're doing well tonight on this wacky Hump Day Wednesday. I'm repping my favorite t-shirt. Can't get enough of WWE. I just got done watching that Ric Flair documentary. What a wacky fucking guy that was, but woo! And I'm also wooing because Donald Trump, America, mega, love it or leave it, woo! NASCAR, brother. He got the dub last night. He's back in action with the presidency. I cannot wait. I'm hoping inflation goes down, a bunch of other crazy shit. But I'm glad Trump's back. So, like I do every week, I get my reaction to the Raiders post-game, what that shellacking was on Sunday, although it started promising, but I shouldn't expect any less because we're so great in the first quarter, and then after that, we just go to shit until finally some garbage time numbers. So, I'll give my takeaways on that. Joey Burrow, Joe Shiesty, Macaulay Culkin, doppelganger looked great. But he should. Our defense got shredded. It was on the field too long. But I also want to talk about today some stuff with Lincoln Riley I found fascinating. He's in shambles. I kind of love it. But I got two of my buddies, Tommy Ruskowski and Zach Alexander. Shout out to you guys who are big USC fans. I'm feeling your pain right now. And I think there's a way out, but I'll dive deep into that. And I also want to talk about a rumor today I heard from Mel Kipa Jr. that the Shedeur Sanders and his son are being forced to come to the Raiders. We'll talk on that in that front. So, as I wanted to start out with, great job, Trump. America, back at it. I'm so glad. So, let's bring back the football here. So, Raiders got shellacked on Sunday. I watched every snap of it. I was kind of back and forth in it. I did have the game on, but I kind of lost interest a little bit. Like I've done half the games this year that the Raiders have played. I am still a fan. I'm not going to sit here and root for somebody else. I'm not rooting for the Donkeys. I'm not rooting for the Chargers. San Diego Superchargers are still the San Diego Chargers to me, but they're in LA. I'm just, to me, not bought in on this team right now. Now, they are 2-7, and they suck. They are a porta potty team. They are like a porta potty. They suck right now. And there's a lot to go around the blame. They fired 3 coaches this week. Luke Getsy, hallelujah, hallelujah. They finally fired him after 9 games. I don't know what fucking took so long, but it is what it is. I'm glad he's gone. They fired their quarterback coach. They fired Rick Scangalillo, who just kind of is a clown show act to me. He's had 7 jobs, been fired from all of them. Kind of shows that maybe he doesn't know what he's fucking doing. Fuck around, you're going to find out. But it's a hamster wheel that keeps going. And, I heard something today from John Middlecoff, and I wanted to bring this up. It's great having you guys in here. Is that, Daniel Snyder was a fucking scumbag, and he was. He was a scumbag. Nobody liked him. He's just an unlikable guy. But the one thing I'll give Mark Davis credit for is that he tries. And I think in his heart of hearts, he wants this thing to succeed with the Raiders. Because we are a big brand. We are a huge, huge brand in the league. And we've got a lot of fandom everywhere I go. I've been to Raider games in Indianapolis. I've been to Raider games in Kansas City, obviously. Whoever follows me on Instagram knows. I've seen this movie. And Raider fans are loyal and passionate, and I am too. And I'm waiting to see this thing materialize into something great. And I don't know what's going to happen. Listen, would I fire Pierce? I would not. I would not. I would give him another year. But I know Brady. He's got some say in it now. He's going to want to bring in a new GM. He's going to want to bring in a new coach. I get all that. But I think you got to let this marinate. Now, is his job safe? I don't think it is with Antonio Pierce. It's not. But clearly, I feel like the momentum that was last year felt kind of like in the rear view now. Because I'm not seeing the camaraderie that this defense had last year. The run game, the run scheme got changed, according to my buddy Andrew on Instagram. Shout out to my buddy Andrew. I love you, bro. And I need to see something. And I don't know what's going to happen with the Raiders going forward. They do have a bye week, so that's a plus. Maybe they get on a run. I was thinking about that today as I'm driving home and I'm throughout my day at work today. And maybe they turn around. I don't know. My gut feeling is I highly doubt they will. But I just think this team is like destined for first pick in the draft. And listen, I would not hate it one darn bit if they are. They earn that right to be that bad, and we suck. Now, can we go on a run? Like I just mentioned, maybe Maybe this bye week kicks them in the ass and goes, okay, let's go on a run. Let's try and do fool's goal like we did last year down the stretch when after the Detroit game with Mike McDaniel and stuff. So maybe there's some of that hope. I highly doubt it. They're going to go with Desmond Ridder. My guess is from here on out, you got to give the kid some reps and got to give him some practice. So I really think you got to give him some time. And this offensive line needs a whole reboot. You got to fix something because this line is not blocking well enough. Their pass pro's awful. I know Colt Miller's been in and out of the lineup. He's one of the better left tackles in football. So that obviously doesn't help. But Sunday, what really was alarming to me, and I was talking to my dad about this tonight, was Trey Hendrickson's one of the better pass rushers in football. And kind of goes under the radar. He plays for the Bengals. And he was with the Saints. So, kind of some bigger brands, but kind of under the radar nationally. Because you think Bengals, you think Ohio State, and then you think of the Saints in New Orleans, you think of LSU. So they're kind of under the radar. But he was a third-round pick. He's a really good player. He's kind of a badass. Wears no gloves as he pass rushes. He's just with his hands. And he's great. He's a great technician. But I will say I was kind of disappointed in the way that they did not chip block, try and do something to kind of disrupt him and not make him the main guy that can go. So I was really disappointed in that from the Raiders. Excuse me about that. And I just think with the Raiders right now, we got to go in a rebuild. And it's just annoying that we keep doing this hamster wheel over and over and over again. But I think that's the only way to go right now. And we got to start from everywhere. I mean, the offensive game plan from here on out is Brock Bowers, and Brock Bowers. That's it. And give Madison some touches because you got to get Mayer back, and maybe that might ignite this offense. I don't know. And hopefully he's okay. He had some family, some personal stuff going on because I was really hyped when they got Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer off of last year near the end. Michael Mayer was getting better from Notre Dame, one of my favorite players of that draft. And they were kind of getting him going. I thought 12 personnel, get the 2 tight ends in there, run the ball, smash mouth. I like it. New England kind of light, obviously not to that level. So what I mentioned, I wanted to touch back on this with Mark Davis. And I've said he's better than Daniel Snyder. Mark, I think, wants to see the Raiders win. And I see it, and he's tried. He's not I get they're cheap. And they were in Oakland, obviously, and Al, that's documented. Before Al passed away, by the way. Is that I think Mark wants to do this right. Now, I think Mark, he's done some bad stuff. There's no doubt about it. I think he should have kept Rich Bisaccia, especially after that crazy, wacky thing with the Gruden thing 2021, which, again, Mark had no control over. He didn't know about the emails and all that stuff. It kind of came up out of nowhere, RKO. But I do think that whoever they bring in next, they better keep him and you better make sure you're patient because this is why we've been so dysfunctional. And when I tell this to people, it's funny, Raider fans, I love you. But all I'm asking for is be the Chiefs, be the Chargers right now. Have some continuity and stability in the coaching staff and the players and all work together. And when I watch the Chiefs in division, that's your standard. You got to be that. You want to be a Packers. You want to be a Ravens. I'm not saying go to the Super Bowl every year, but be competitive. And if I'm looking at a model for the Raiders, it's look at the Lions who are in the same spot we were in, dog shit for a long time, lap of losers, and get that ship right. Now, is it different than Detroit? No question about it. I've also talked to Lion fans that, and Mike Kesnick could probably chime in on this if he wants to go live with me, he can. But I heard that Sheila Ford, kind of took the reins back a little bit, trusted the football people and that stuff. And I think Mark Davis can do that. I think he's not in that way. And I think if he just steps back a little bit, let somebody else do the football, I think this Raider team could be on the up and up. Now, I got to see draft and I got to see moving forward. But we'll see what happens. And, they got a bye week. Let's see. I'm going to give my more post-game reactions every week from here on out. But I am really looking forward to April. I'm really intrigued to go down the Combine this year. It's one of my favorite events of the year. Had a blast last year. If anybody follows me on Instagram and Facebook, you guys saw how much fun I had. It was a vibe. It was fun. I lost my voice. I was screaming. I was yelling. So much fun. And hopefully Matt Heitman, shout out to my boy, and come down from north to Minnesota and come visit me and hang out for a weekend. We go down the Combine together. So I'm hoping we're going to get those plans, brother. But I wanted to talk to, and I know I mentioned this at the top, with the Deion Sanders thing going down. And I read an article today, and Mel Kiper, who my dad compared me to when I was younger, said that Deion Sanders might be forced to go to the Raiders. And I was listening to Dan Patrick. I was listening to different outlets trying to get different takes on this. And I sat back, and on my way home tonight, I was coming from the gym, curls for the girls. And I was sitting there going, I wouldn't hate this idea. Now, again, I was out on Shedeur early in the year. I had Carson Beck as my number one quarterback coming into this year. But things change and your eyes change of what you see. And Carson Beck, just way too many air balls, just too much shit going on. He doesn't trust his weapons. The run game's not as dominant as it's been. And I think he's a guy like, when you talk about quarterbacks, either a truck or a trailer. And I think that Carson Beck's a trailer and needs other pieces around him to work. But a lot of guys, there's only about 6 on the planet that are trucks that can carry anything you put around them and they'll make it work and get you to the one a circle. But I do like Shedeur. But the more and more I think, and again, if Deion comes as a package deal with his son, it's entertainment. And listen, the NFL is an entertainment business. It's just like WWE, brother. It is entertainment. You got to have stars. Okay, it's one thing I learned from that documentary. I can't get enough of WWE. But my point is, I think you have to do that to get star power. Because you're in a division. I said this a couple years ago. You got Andy Reid and Mahomes until Andy Reid croaks and dies. Wish that doesn't happen. But as long as you got Mahomes and that brain trust in Kansas City, they ain't going nowhere. The Chargers got their shit together finally. They got a big boy, and they paid premium money for head coach. Hey, Jim Harbaugh, you want to come down? Bet. Let's go. But here's my asking price, $15, $16 million. I'm bringing my D coordinator down. We'll pay you guys. Do a package deal. Let's go. And they're off and running. And they got more wins last year. They had 5 all last year. They got 5 already this year. So the pendulum swing of when you get an elite coach instead of Brandon Staley's bum ass, it changes things. And then Denver, listen, I hate the Broncos as much as anybody, but I got to give credit where credit's due. Their defense is really, really good. Now, it's not got a lot of names on it outside of Surtain in the corner, who's a great, great player. He's in that running with the Jalen Ramseys and those guys as best corners in football. Jair Alexander from the Packers, obviously, on that list. So, a lot of things in that division. So you got to get some star power if you're the Raiders. And first thing you have to do is get a quarterback. And let everything else kind of mix. And get the whole line back. And get everything in line. And I think they'll be okay. And I don't hate the Shedeur and Deion pairing. But I'll throw this out, hypothetical. If I can't get Shedeur, Cam Ward's my second guy. And I said it last week. I said it Sunday after watching them come back from 28-17 against Duke at home. I'm sold. And this kid is putting this team on his back. And Mario Cristobal, they're running a balanced attack on offense. Smash mouth, 120 yards, 400 passing. They're trying to go balance. They're more throwing than running. But I know Cristobal wants to establish that run game. Dan Campbell led offense like they have in Detroit, obviously. And then also, Garrett Nussmeier's a name to me that's kind of creeping. And I heard Tom McShay, who does the draft, and I have a great admiration and respect for him. And I also think that if he puts together another showing and he gets that bad stink out of the A&M game, which I'm still got in my head a little bit, just the bad shit in him, if he plays more games great down the stretch, he could etch his name into that conversation as the third best quarterback in this draft. Now, Quinn Ewers I like, but he's got a lot of question marks in terms of injuries. He's been hurt every year in college. We saw how that happens with Tua, how he's had some injuries in college and then translates to the NFL. Doesn't go well. So there's a lot of things I got to see when it comes to that with the quarterbacks in this draft. So Raiders, first rule of business, get Shedeur. If you can't get Shedeur or Deion as a package deal, get somebody else. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about USC for a second because I know I always call them the University of Spoiled Children and all that, and it's all good fun and games. But I'm sitting here the other night, and I was watching Coward the other night, talk to Middlecoff, my buddy. I don't know him personally, but I love John Middlecoff. And I got to wonder with Lincoln Riley, like, what is he doing? And now I'm hearing that you lost again in Washington Saturday night. Now, I didn't watch the game. I'll have to go back tonight, and maybe before I go to bed, I will watch it, and I'll see what the fuck happened in that game. But you're 4-5. 4-5? Are you kidding me? I'm looking down this list, and he had a quote that just cracked me up laughing. Oh, well, there's 6 plays that we could be 9-0. Yeah, but you're not. And, you're not, Lincoln. You know what you are? Go back to rural Texas, brother, because you don't belong in the big leagues, brother. If you were at Penn State, if you were at Georgia, and you were at Oklahoma, and you had it made, no doubt about it. But Oklahoma, you didn't have to rebuild a program overnight. Oklahoma, most people know, has been a great program for almost all my life. Now, have they won a natty lately? No, but they've been in contention. You know, Lincoln Riley, we know a couple things. He's going to get the offense right, and he's going to get a quarterback to go Heisman or go pro. We know that. But everything else about Lincoln's not great. His defenses don't tackle. It's funny because that LSU game, and I was thinking about this week, what I was going to say on here, is that feels like a distant fucking memory from the tackling, how great it was, and now it's back to being shit. So I got that question mark. And then he's telling the media, I don't want you coming to practice anymore. Hey, Lincoln, worry about what you can control. Stop caring about everything else. Get your team to be a better, well-coached, fundamental, sound football team that can tackle and actually run the football and be physical like you were in Oklahoma. That's what I can't figure out with USC. You have all this money, and it's Southern California. Like, you're struggling to get kids in state? What's this about? I mean, I understand USC has been in the shitter for a long time. I think, if there's two programs that in my life that have dealt their soul to the devil, the thing about this tonight is USC when Pete Carroll was there, and they've been a joke ever since, and Florida when Urban Meyer was there to what they're not now. And that's without Urban Meyer, okay? So, to me, with Lincoln Riley, and he comes off condescending and aloof and an asshole, and excuse me. Excuse me. I just don't know. And I'm really concerned with USC moving forward. And now I'm reading that, they're not getting kids in state. Oregon's kicking their ass and has been doing that for 8 years. Now, granted, I'll admit it, Oregon could do that because they got Nike in the backyard, okay? So I understand it from that perspective. But you got to do better. This is USC, damn it. You got to win. And I'm telling you right now, it's one of the biggest disappointment jobs that I've seen in college football, considering what Lincoln Riley came from at Oklahoma and what he built. He had guys, linemen, what's crazy to me with USC, and I was going to mention this, was he had linemen go in the first round. Creed Humphrey, Orlando Brown, all these guys. But I feel like took Bob Stoops' momentum at Oklahoma, and he ran with it as far as he can go. And listen, he did a great job. He develops quarterbacks. All that I get. But he's turning into the Mike D'Antoni of college football. All this flash, all this pop, and all this stuff. But what does it get me in the end? It's empty calorie yards. It's cotton candy. It's great to have at a fair and all that shit in the summertime. Woo! But when it comes down to football, it just doesn't make sense. And I think they should be better on offense next year, which I've been told. I don't know. I'm not a USC fan. But my point is, you got to recruit better. And Lincoln, you got to get your head out of your ass and start recruiting. And start actually liking it. Because that's been the other knock that I've heard from Coward and Middlecoff and all these guys that are around the USC program. He doesn't like to recruit. How the hell is that possible? You're a college coach, you don't like to recruit? Come on. Like, you gotta get outside your toolbox and do something. So, we'll see what happens moving forward. But USC is one of the biggest letdowns of my life lately in college football. So, like I always do on every night, like I do in all my videos, hit the like, subscribe, share button. Great having you guys in tonight. And stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to be posting more throughout the week. And talk to you guys soon.